Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Friday, August 29th, 2025. Let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to start with the weekly chart, the big picture. We are really right at that 179.94 long-term 2.5-year channel top that we settled above about 3-4 weeks ago, have broken below it on an intra-week basis. We even closed back below it last week by a degree, but not by a full 1% margin. So it's kind of like a magnet. We're just trading around it. I do think that NVIDIA is sort of waiting, if you will, and I hate to humanize this, but I do think, let's rephrase this, that upward momentum will kick in as we move into later year if, and as I've been saying, the triple Q NASDAQ 100 as well can close above its 2.5-year channel top. And it might do that today. And I will let you know next week if that does occur, in which case I would see then the two in tandem. In other words, aligned on longer-term upward continuation. Until then, there's hesitation, understandably so. If the index is not going to enter kind of a protracted rally through the rest of the year, I mean, NVIDIA could, but it would then likely drag the index into a buy signal because it's such a prominent part of the NASDAQ 100, of the triple Q. So we'll just kind of see how this plays out. I do think, getting back to this chart, that if you're just charting NVIDIA, closing today, wrong chart, closing today above 182.70. What is 182.70? 182.70 is the high weekly settlement price that was put out about a month ago when we closed for the first time on a weekly basis above that 179.94 channel top. 182.70. If we close above 182.70, we are at a new high settlement price in NVIDIA, and I think that nudges NVIDIA onto the buy side once again. It may already be, this may be just kind of hesitation as the market awaits an eventual settlement, perhaps above this structure in the triple Q. But I do think, if we do close today above 182.70, NVIDIA, if you're just looking at the NVIDIA chart, I see a good reason to be long, stay long. That also correlates pretty well with this descending channel top that we've been watching at 182.39. And I've mentioned how if we close above 182.39, that may be the beginning of the rally. But 182.70, I think, is the safer bet. That would obviously also include the 182.39 descending channel top. So yes, I'm going to say it one more time, that if we close above 182.70 today, I do think this 219.64 level in reach by the end of the year. That is a full wave count from that January high against the April low, and you kind of flip that on its head, 2.0. In other words, you subtract April from January extremes, add it back to January, and it gets you to 219.64. And I think a realistic by the end of the year objective if we were to close today above 182.70. Until then, the jury is still out. Until then, I would suspect that we do not close above this structure in the triple Q or the NASDAQ 100, which keeps the indexes, very susceptible to bearish rotation as we continue into later year. And that obviously would involve NVIDIA as well. I can't imagine NVIDIA, in other words, rallying up to 219.64 over the next several months while the triple Q falls back to, I can tell you this February high way back here is 540.81. That would be in reach over the next few months, is actually in reach over the next few months. I don't expect it. My triple Q analysis gives the indications for that to the downside. Anyway, I don't want to digress. Let's get back into NVIDIA.
If you're finding value in this analysis, it's only a glimpse of what we offer. Your real trading edge starts at wickedstocks.com. Each week, premium members receive 2 high-probability stock picks. Each one comes with a complete trade plan, including exact entry, profit target, stop loss, and regular updates so you can manage the trade with confidence. You'll also get daily video analysis in the top traded markets, the SPY, the Triple Q, and NVIDIA, highlighting the key price levels, trends, and trade setups we're focused on. Whether you're day trading or swing trading, these insights help you zero in on the highest quality opportunities with clarity. Try it all free for 5 days. Cancel at any time.
We still have 175.19. This is our 4 or 5 month channel bottom that held nicely a little over a week ago. If we do close below it, by one significant measure, I see that as a sign of weakness that allows 149.29 over the next 3 to 5 weeks. It's just that we also now have a newly formed, based on yesterday's wild activity, that post-earnings activity of 168.79. And 168.79 may be bumped up. I just have to see how this all plays out over the next day or two. I will say that if we close below 175.19, I see no compelling reason for you to be long or stay long NVIDIA. The question is, how do we deal with 168.79? If we close below 175.19, as I've been saying, you can play a 3 to 5 week sell-off to 149.29. It's just that 168.79 may play spoiler on that, if only for the better part of a week. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. We do have a rising 1/3 speed line at 160, 164. This area will converge over the next full week, week and a half of trade. So we may then shift toward more this 168.69 structure. I will say this, that if we close below 168.79, we do have a clear-cut sell signal to 149.29. So you could say, constructive into September above 175.19. If you're long at that channel bottom that we tested about a week and a half ago, you're now just sort of waiting for a weekly settlement today above 182.70. And then we are then presumably on our way over the next few months by the late year to 219.64. And inversely, if we close below 175.19, that is a sell signal, but I think what it at least amounts to is exit your long positions and let this thing play out. And if we then close below 168.79, I think you can aggressively pursue the short side of the market as we move through September. I would expect within 3 to 5 weeks of closing below 168.79, the 149.29 level. So there's no right way to play this. It's just that I'm not comfortable being long below 175.19. And I am quite comfortable being short below 168.79. So what does that mean inside of this range? I think this range is a solid day trade, 3 to 5 day swing trade opportunity. But I think everything shifts south if we close below 168.79. These numbers might change next week. What I mean by that, the weighting of them. Bullish above 175.19, needing a settlement above 182.70 to kind of get the ball rolling to the upside. Bearish below 168.79, then anticipating 149.29 within probably 3 to 5 weeks. Once again, 149.29 is this former 1-year channel top we settled above about 2.5 months ago that then indicated the channel top at 179.94. And so 149.29 well suited to contain selling on a quarterly basis. We can round up from here back to new highs actually following a test of 149.29. Yes. So this week, I just want to mention that wickedstocks.com put out 2 stock picks, one on Viasat and the other on Zeta Holdings. Both are pending. We've had some really great signals the last month or so that have played out nicely, are in the midst of playing out nicely. The Zeta Holdings and Viasat are pending, and so you can see those for free by going to wickedstocks.com and taking advantage of our 5-day free trial, where you'll also get our daily triple Q analysis for next week. That will give you kind of the heads up on what could be kind of a confirmational buy signal to the upside. Also, our daily SPY report, weekly Apple stock, weekly S&P 500, and weekly NASDAQ 100, all for free for 5 days. Check out wickedstocks.com. I will be back, of course, with Monday's daily NVIDIA report, and you have a fabulous weekend.